Hi there, it's Andrew Beattie for another episode of Down to Business, and today we're talking, bookkeeping. It's a pretty big part of any business, getting information and making decisions, and it's often something that's taken for granted and overlooked. But I've got a couple of gurus here with me today, being Alex and Katie from Booksmart, and we're going to talk, what their experience is and how they find things working with business owners day to day. So welcome, ladies.
Morning.
You might want to tell us a bit more about yourselves and how you work with business owners.
Yeah, great. So I'm General Manager of Booksmart, and basically we, go in and help businesses get their books under control so they can make good decisions.
Get their crap together.
Absolutely, yeah. That's the whole thing. To say it simply, yeah, definitely. And then with that, work alongside the accountants as well to make sure they've got what they need to be able to help the business from the advisory point of view.
Yeah, so we come in, stand right beside them, and help them out on an everyday basis, on a weekly basis, monthly basis. Generally, whenever they need us there, we're going to be there to support them so that they can have that up-to-date information to make proper business decisions.
You've been doing this for a while?
A couple of years.
Yeah. And you would have seen a fair bit of, I guess, forced change a bit in that industry too, with the shoebox and. Yeah, heaven forbid, there probably still are shoe boxes right through.
Yeah, still get them sometimes, yeah.
And I'm gathering, also that, it's not a one size fits all, and you work with all different kinds of businesses and all different kinds of industries.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I think there's small businesses, there's large businesses, and even within those small businesses, they need different needs as well. So it's more analysing what they need and then working out how we can help them and make their lives easier.
But I think a lot of the videos we've done in this sort of series to date has been around things that business owners should do and I guess make their businesses better, get ahead. When it comes to the bookkeeping side of things and making sure your accounts are in order, it's not really a should, it's legal and you have to, and also you should be doing it from a business decision point of view.
Yeah. And I think business owners don't realise their obligations there either. So I think it's more finding and making them aware of what they do need to do. And some business owners don't even realise they need to keep receipts and do things like that, which is just basic knowledge in the bookkeeping world, I suppose.
Yeah,
I
sure.
think that's a really important point to make, that they're skilled and knowledgeable in their industry and what they do, and that's great. That's why you start the business. We're skilled in what we need to do, and like bookkeeping and accounting and those sorts of fields. So let us help drive your business. So let us tell you when your obligations are due and those sorts of things, so that you don't need to worry about those. Like, let's take the stress off you. We're going to tell you exactly when your BASs are due, when your superannuation is due.
Your peace of mind.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think, that to me, too many people associate, I guess, incurring another expense as purely that, cash flow and the rest of it. But I think you make a good point. If you can take that off them, what my cost is, it frees them up to actually generate dollars, and know that they're compliant and have the means to do what they need. So
do what they should be doing, really.
It's a good point.
I'll add one more thing. From a personal point of view, we met with a client on Tuesday, and they just recently had a baby, and the partner said, my husband's a totally different person from before, the bookkeeper they had before to you guys, because he knows exactly what's happening, and he doesn't he's less stressed.
He doesn't have to worry.
Yeah.
So knowledge gives comfort.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
That's a good point. So, I guess on that business size, I'll add one in here that I hadn't planned to ask, but from a business size point of view, traditionally I gather that it's the smaller business say, right, I need a bookkeeper external. What are you finding these days with those sort of trends?
Yeah, I think it's sort of we still have that small business that need that outsource, minimal time constraint and just minimal bookkeeping done. But of late, in the last 3 to 6 months, we've found that there's a lot of the largest type businesses that are actually removing the internal resource and then outsourcing the whole accounts function, which, that is quite a large bookkeeping role, and the security, I suppose, of them knowing that they've got backup in an outsourced provider, and then also not having to rely on one single person has changed that. And I'd say that's probably the move in the last 3 to 6 months. Would you say that we've taken on with new clients and their requests and what they need? It is more of a whole function, not just a single task as such in the bookkeeping role.
Yes, okay, that's a good point. So it's security, okay. What are some of the other, not only differences, but pros and cons, I guess, for an internal resource or resources for that whole accounting and finance function versus having an outsourced solution or a combination of both?
Yeah, I'll touch on the accountability piece because I feel like as an employee, it's very easy to go in and do your 8:30 to 5 and leave. And if you didn't finish a task, oh well, I'll be there tomorrow. I know personally when I work in a client, if I've committed to something, I'm not going to leave at 5 o'clock. If I haven't finished it, I'm going to stay there until I finish the task. So, that's what you should expect from a bookkeeper or any sort of, external resource, is that, you're there to perform a task. If you
Results based.
Exactly, yeah. So, whereas contrary to employees, there may be fantastic employees out there that will stay till 6, 7 o'clock, whatever, to get it done. But more often than not, it's going to be there tomorrow. No, that's fine. Yeah, so having, I think that care factor in there to say, I've committed this, I'm going to get it done because I've, stick to your word essentially.
Yep.
And I think also with the efficiencies and the innovation, I suppose, with having that outsourced provider, they're up to date with all of the new, UBIT things that are coming out in the market.
Because it's your business.
Absolutely, that's what we're passionate about. We're making sure we're on the lookout for all of those, and they're coming every week. Like every week, there's new add-ons, there's new automation and that we can implement into the business to increase that efficiency, which the internal, role isn't really sourcing out because they're fulfilling their role as that person, as an employee. So I think that's another big point, and I also think that it's more that backup that the owners just like to know that their payroll's still going to get done if their employee's sick, that they're
or if they're on leave, or
totally, just having that backup without having to worry about it. Once it is outsourced, we guarantee that once we have, once you have your account manager, if they're away or they're on leave, we always have that backup. We have those procedures in place so that we have a team behind us, and they jump in and fulfil that position if there is a need for it.
Yeah, good. And I know there's instances where, as I mentioned before, could be a combination of both, where you have worked with internal teams for, what's that, just to cover excess, or is it project based, or is it just, we don't need a full-time person, we might need part-time?
Yeah, so we've got a couple of clients that we just do specific tasks for. They've said we've got this position within our accounts team and we just need to fill this gap essentially. So we'll go in and do that specific task. And then we have other clients where, maternity leave contracts, for instance, we've done a couple of those now, come in a couple of weeks before they leave, learn the processes, meet the people, get into their culture, those sorts of things, fill out the role whilst the person's on maternity leave, and once they come back, then do another transition to hand it back to them, anything that's changed, those sorts of things. And then, the business owner gets exactly the same result all the way through, depending, no matter who does the task, and, they have that peace of mind that, the job's going to get done. Yeah,
I think it's important because I think many business owners, you don't know what you don't know. Exactly. So from that point of view, it's, can you do that? And I think it can work very well. Really, it's about that purpose and what you're trying to achieve. So that's a good one. So, big question, obvious one to me, but to many it's not with what we see. So why is it important for business owners to have their books in order?
Very big one.
Yeah. Definitely. I think obviously accountants want to know this, but they need to make active business decisions. So, and in order to do that, they need to know where they're at. And if their books aren't in order, they don't know. So, to put it very simply, that's what it is. So, I think
that's the correct answer.
Yeah. But I think a lot of business owners don't realise that they don't know where they're at either. I think until they have, an accountant from an advisory point of view, or someone pushing them and keeping them accountable and, wanting them to grow their business and get better and bigger, which is ultimately the goal of anyone in business, I think, that they don't realise what they do need. So it's a matter of putting it in front of them in layman's terms and just saying, we need to do this and these tasks in order to get, your good profit and loss, your good balance sheet, everything cleaned up and ready to go so that the accountants can do what they need. I think that's probably the biggest one.
Yeah, because if you're just churning over and you're not knowing exactly what your numbers are or, what your goals are, what you need to do for the rest of the month, for instance, you're just going to be going, but you're not going to be going in a certain direction, or you're not going to be going towards a specific goal. So you're just going to be on autopilot.
And even if you are, you don't know if you are.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, it's being an advisor point of view, it's, we try to advise, and as much as we say accountants love numbers, it's not just about the numbers, but the numbers tell a story.
Yeah.
So I think, the days where you used to rely on your numbers being in order by, 3 weeks after month end and that sort of thing. The world's moving too quickly, so it's even mid-month, a week after month end, etc. We want to know so we can make decisions. So it's a very good point. And then also you've got obviously the legal and compliance side.
Definitely. And I think also the other side to touch is the stress of it. I know that and some business owners just don't even realise, like Alex said, they're churning the wheel, they're still doing what they do every day, but they don't really know if they're making money. They might have cash in the bank, but they don't really know if they're making money. And I think that's a big one. And I think we met with a client last week and they were saying, like, how are we situated? Like, are we making money? And I said, well, that's really for your accountant to advise on. But they had no idea. And I think that's really, a lot of people, as long as they've got cash in the bank, they think that it's okay, but most of the time it's not. So in a small business sense, so you need to have that plan and you need to know where you're going and how you're going to use that cash, or if it is your cash.
Well, and another key part of that is the bodies you're reporting to, like the ATO, with some of the technology advances they've had. They'll know more about their position than the business owner, which is a scary position to be in, full stop. So with technology, be careful what you wish for. So okay, so it's a chance to give yourself a plug. What makes a great bookkeeping partner? What do they do differently, and why does it matter?
I think I'll tie back to earlier piece about accountability, saying if you commit to a task, then it gets done, it gets communicated at the point of completion. And I think taking it right back to day one, expectations are set from the onset to say, this is what you need for your business. Great, we can offer you X, Y, or Z, which meets your expectations. These set tasks are going to be done here, here, and here, so that everyone's on the same page from day one. So then come month 2, 3, 4, okay, have all our expectations been met? Okay, let's look back at our original engagement. Okay, yes, everything is being met at the right times. So being on the right page, setting expectations correctly from the beginning, making sure that, making sure they're on the same page. And then communication. If anything, like life happens, sometimes, if we've committed to something, it may not happen because of external factors that you can't, to help with at the time. As long as you communicate that with all parties involved, then, I think that's a key aspect of making sure a good bookkeeping partner,
What you need.
Yeah.
And I think on top of that as well is that I'm a big stickler for procedures, so I think that they are essential in most roles in business, honestly, but in the bookkeeping realm, they are like a necessity. Where internally we've got our procedures set, but often the businesses that we deal with don't. And I think it's more about being the bookkeeper and doing that, helping them and caring about their business and showing them what the procedures are, what's worked in other businesses, and trying to implement them so it makes their life easier and stress load easier as well. I mean, there's nothing more stressful than managing people is the hardest thing. So if we can sort of implement some basic procedures and that to manage those people within their business for the bookkeeping realm, then that's going to add to their stress-free business life.
Yeah, sure. And I think the other aspect that you didn't touch on then was, to me, if you're going to go with that outsourced model or a combination, it's having redundancy in it so that you've got extra people rather than just use one outsource, because it's in that same boat about having an employee that may be off, etc.
Absolutely, having that backup and that assurity. Definitely.
And that comes back to like the procedure-based, within our team. With the procedures, we make sure that we have them for every client, so that if I'm on annual leave, Katie can pick up my clients and the client still receives exactly the same result. So having that peace of mind that even though I may be your account manager, anyone within our team can still perform that task and the client gets exactly the same result.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Good point. Mistakes. I'm sure you see plenty, From a point of view of a business owner, what are some of the, not necessarily just mistakes and I got, that receipt wrong or something, but generally in their approach to bookkeeping, their accounting, their reporting, etc. What are some of the common things you see that you go, look, why? And then on the contrary to that, what are some of the tips that business owners should be taken away from this when it comes to getting their stuff in order?
Yeah, I think common mistakes is, I guess, you don't know what you don't know. Like having the, I'm sure it'll be fine approach
Or someone
like,
told me that it was okay not to do that.
Pub talk.
Barbecue.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I can claim that. No, you can't actually. So I guess those sorts of coding allocations of recognizing an asset, for instance, when you should actually be coding as repairs and maintenance or something like that.
Yeah, sure. Which can have a bearing then on tax, etc.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And
I think keeping receipts as well is a big one. That I met with a client last week and they said, I thought we just needed our credit card statements. And I said, well, no, we actually need the source documentation. They said, so I just throw all those away. So just being, it's not so much a mistake, but not knowing what they need and what they have to, what they should have. And then on the other side, implementing programs or apps or innovation and automation that makes it easy for them to record that sort of stuff and to not make those mistakes. Which I think once we sort of let them know about that, they're all happy to go ahead and do it and keep their receipts and things like that. So, and I think a lot of, like with automation now, it's great, but a lot of them think for you, and sometimes they don't think right.
Yeah,
and
that's a very good point.
Yeah, and often we find that there'll be coding errors, and it won't be so much that the business owner or the internal resource has done that. It's more that the automation has picked up what they think is correct, and the person's just accepted that it's right without looking further.
It doesn't
into
just fix it.
Totally.
And that's in the autopilot of going, I'm doing my bookkeeping at midnight. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Because you just, you just want to get it done. But if you took, a few seconds to think about what you were looking at, it's like, oh no, that's not right.
Yeah.
But because you're doing it, all hours of the night just to get it done, then it's an easy mistake.
And what about, I'd imagine, a lot of receipts, etc. Life becomes a bit easier if you actually pay attention a bit more frequent. Yeah,
Definitely.
something you say. Rather than, I think some of the war stories I've seen where people just leave it. Even once a quarter, there's a lot of transactions that go through once a quarter.
There's a lot.
They haven't had the information to make better decisions during, but also it becomes just such a mammoth task that it's hard.
It becomes too big, and I think we've had so many clients that have, and people that have come and spoke to us that have said, I just don't know where to start. We'll take it off their hands, get it up to date, and then implement those procedures if they want to continue doing the bookkeeping themselves, which often they don't. But if they do, and teach them how to do it and how to stay on top of it. And often with small businesses, it is only a couple of hours a week. If you can allocate that time, if you don't want to outsource, then you can stay on top of it, but you need a team behind you to be able to show you how to do it correctly and not be making mistakes along the way, so that you've still got that accurate information. I think that's really important. And I think on top of the other mistakes that they make, often it's the unknown that they think that they know, and often when you say when it's been 3 months, that they haven't touched anything, it's all too big, they come to someone for help. Business is busy, everyone's busy these days. I can't remember what I done last week, let alone 3 months ago. Having those transactions, and you may have hundreds of transactions in your bank account, trying to think what every single transaction is, which ultimately we need to know. 3 months ago, it's just too big
kids screaming
task.
and dog barking. And,
Totally, yeah. So if we keep on top of it more frequently, then that sort of eliminates that stress, eliminates that worry. And then,
so I think it's frequency, but I also think what you said before, if I can do a value add task in my business, I don't want to be doing something that, one, I don't really enjoy, two, I'm probably not the best at. So having that support really helps me. Yes, I am an accountant by definition, but I hate it myself. So I don't know why any other business owner would want to do it. But, okay. So we've spoken a lot about the business owner or who potentially might have to do the accounting. How do you then work with, like, the accountant or their employees, other stakeholders within the business? Just some of the day-to-day practical stuff you do.
Yeah, I think with employees, to touch on, it's mainly around the payroll, or obviously educating them on what they're doing wrong, if we're sort of only doing task-based. So often business owners, as I said before, managing people is the hardest part of business really. So often business owners taking that, the external resource to do your payroll and to follow up all those queries or follow up all those errors or issues with timesheets, which are a major issue with payroll. I'd say most timesheets are, not filled out correctly. We need to query them, follow them up. Most payrolls will take a day for a business to be able to go through and do it efficiently. So I suppose implementing, working with those employees to increase their efficiency in doing the work, so that when we get it or when the business owner gets it, it's a lot more smoother and the transition's better. And then also, we do have that function where we only do parts of roles, so in the business, so working with the internal teams who do the other roles to make sure that it's all working in sync and all working smoothly. I think that's really important as well. And the accountant world, I think.
Yeah, so then, taking all of those parts of the puzzle and then speaking to the accountant to say, hey, it's end of month, we've finalised everything with the internal team, here's a profit and loss and balance sheet, we've had a look at it, here are some questions, for instance, can you help out with them because it's really an accounting question or a tax question, or, being that sort of funneled through to the accountant, because business owners are busy. If they've got questions that they've asked us and we've sort of said, I don't know, I know exactly what you're saying, but I don't know the answer, we can then pass that on to the accountant whilst we're giving them, end of month work papers or, financials, those sorts of things, and then feed that back to the business owner, because I find that, accounting world is definitely changing, but being in that bookkeeping space, we're speaking with clients pretty much every single day or every week, whereas accountants may only speak to them once a month or once a quarter, so we have that more of a frequent sort of
hands-on approach.
Yeah, exactly. And funnel between.
A lot more communication.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think the key thing, you get from an accounting point of view, if you've got a very clean set of accounts, you can rely on the information, it makes our job a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah,
so, and from a business owner's point of view, it's a cost-saving exercise too, because they don't have to, double pay, if you like, and they make sure they're getting it done right, and it's actually the compliance process is actually more efficient and then therefore cost effective.
Yeah. And I think on top of that too, as you know, we've heard many accountants say they don't like doing bookkeeping work. Their job's more in that higher end sort of advisory. They want the results of it and the outcomes of it, but they don't really like the processing. So, having, having a team behind you that gives you the good books, then allows you guys to do the jobs that you need.
So we touched on a few times now about technology, and as we know, the world we live in, there's new stuff coming every day, and the accounting and bookkeeping world, I won't say they're pioneers, but there's a lot of automation that went into our world quite early on in the piece. Things like Xero, and then all the apps that go around that, and the connectors. What's some of you could talk all day about technology, but what's some of the technology you're seeing and seeing it used effectively and actually improving the lives of business owners as opposed to just a little fad?
I think the accounts processing would be one of the big ones, the likes of Receipt Bank or Expensify.
So what do they do?
So they actually,
I'll take it. They are an app on your phone, and they allow you to update all of your receipts and invoices. Being on your phone, it's easy, it's manageable. You can be at the cafe, great, I've just gotten a coffee, snapshot it there, and it's done, chuck it out.
So it deals with that business owner that says, I don't care my receipts.
Correct. Yeah. So then you don't need to allocate an entire day to upload your receipts. Everyone wins.
And then from the bookkeeping world as well, it also extracts all that data and stops all the data entry. Yeah. So it's saving time, saving money.
Efficiency on our end as well, because it pulls it all out.
Well, it also deal with those employees you have to chase all the time for their...
Absolutely, yeah. You want to make it as easy as possible for everyone involved. Everyone has an iPhone these days, so it's easy app to download and just take a photo, so yeah.
And they also integrate a lot with a lot of the big providers now, so like the banks and Telstra and all of those big providers will automatically email to the likes of Receipt Bank and Expensify now, which is great because then you're getting the statements, you're getting things that you need without having to go back to the business owner and say, we need your, credit card statements, we need, all that source documentation. It's there for us.
So it deals with a lot of your receipts. What else are we saying?
Yeah, Automentum is actually a program I've seen come through quite a bit lately in the retail space for online ordering and those sorts of things. I guess it's similar to Shopify in terms of online, going onto someone's website, buying something, paying for it, and getting orders from there. So there too, from the sales point of view, that I'd sort of recommend, I've seen coming through recently, and the benefits from those is that you don't need to be hand entering in your invoices. The customer does it for you. I want to order XYZ, sale happens, the sale gets paid for, you get the money in your bank the next day, and then that sales information feeds through to Xero, where we can pick it up and reconcile then to the bank transaction that's come into your bank. So that whole process is seamless and pretty much driven by the customer, and you don't need to touch it at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I think the other big area is payroll. So there's a lot of timesheet and payroll.
Yeah, you mentioned timesheets before.
Yeah, so the likes of Deputy and Tandar, which we've worked quite well. And they go across industries as well. Like traditionally, I think they were mainly hospitality industry, but now we're finding that they're sort of dropping into a lot of other industries as well. And I think that solves a lot of problems for the employee, for the business owner, because, you know, they're doing rostering, they're doing their timesheets, they're approving them. You know, there's the likes of having to take a photo to clock on so that they know the employees are there if they work on location or on site, and then that automatically feeds through to the likes of Xero or MyOb, and to be able to then process payroll efficiently.
Yeah, sure.
So I think that's a big one in the world that has really changed people's lives.
And I'll add to that one, sorry, just from a compliance point of view, if an audit ever did happen with your payroll, with the likes of, you know, Caltex, for instance, is a big one that I'm thinking of. With those programs, they have audit trails of who's approved what and when and by whom, so that, you know, all of that information is there ready for you. You obviously never want an audit to come onto your doorstep, but if it does, you've got that reliability and confidence that all your paperwork is in the one place, and you know, it's peace of mind, I guess.
Well, it's also similar to when you're paying creditors, you know, and you've got, you know, approval gates and that sort of stuff, some of these technology things. So I think to summarise it, I agree, there's some great solutions out there, but really it's to take away those bottlenecks and the things we're always chasing for time efficiency. So right at the start, we said it's about getting more information for decisions. 2, risk and peace of mind, as you said, make sure that's covered. You know, and 3, probably getting paid in cash flow. If we said probably a big one. So
cash is king,
yeah. Oh, very good. Well, starting to bring it all together now. As you've said, we said from the start, the most important thing for business owners is to have their accounts there, to know in a timely manner that they can rely on data to make better decisions. You know, yes, they've got to have it for, keeping out of strife with the regulators as well. But you know, realistically, from a business improvement point of view and a business objective point of view, it's that decision-making platform, I guess, the point. You know, yes, you've got the option to have internal, external, or a combination of bookkeeping solutions, and really that's where you guys come into play. And what you're saying about external really gives that peace of mind around that redundancy factor. Make sure you've got cover and security. Innovation, you're always making sure on top of the game because that's your business. Yeah, and I guess that results-based focus that, you know, we can get a bit complacent with employees. We're external, you know, we're results-based. We're there to get the job done.
Yeah, absolutely.
From the point of view when you said why it's important with business owners to get this stuff, and we sort of covered that, but really come back to that, being able to make better decisions, knowing where you're heading towards your strategic goals, as you said. You know, the numbers still tell a pretty big story. It's very important to make sure we get right. From a great bookkeeping partner, communication I took out of that.
I think that's the biggest one,
Yep, constant communication, accessibility, you know, challenging, you know, and being a good conduit between other stakeholders and the business owner.
Yeah, that accountability.
Yeah, beautiful. And I guess some of the common mistakes you said about frequency, you know, paying a bit more attention, a bit more often, making sure you capture your receipts and that sort of stuff, and that probably comes with that technology piece as well. And some of the other ones.
GST,
and like obviously from a point of view of making sure that you've got your compliance in order when it should be. Yep. And then we started to touch on from the point of view of technology, and I think, you know, we said risk, efficiency, cash flow is probably the key ones, and making sure you get those. There's plenty of apps out there, but ones that actually give you solutions to improve your life. And the overarching thing for me is that if you don't like doing bookkeeping, why are you doing it?
Yeah, do it.
Do
what you're good at.
I guess for me as an advisor, it's not being flippant with another cost, you know.
Yeah.
But if you incur a cost and you can actually go out and improve your business, make more money, help your employees, whatever it may be, it's a cost well spent.
Absolutely.
It's truly an investment.
Yeah.
Time is a non-renewable resource. You can always get more money, but you can never get more time. So you need to use it wisely. Like, if you don't like doing it, don't do it.
Yeah.
Anything else before I wrap up?
No, I think we've pretty well covered everything, which is great. I think just emphasising the time thing.
Yeah.
I think, and bookkeeping does take time. Like, it's not a quick job for any business. So I think, just really making sure that you're doing it effectively and efficiently.
Right,
and getting
first time.
Absolutely.
No, it's what you said before. Do things that you're passionate about. I know at Booksmart you're very passionate about it. So thanks for joining me. And from a business owner's point of view, hopefully you got a few more tips and maybe go and have a look at your books as well. Cheers.
Thank you.